The film opens on a high-intensity morning spin class. Among the participants are Fela Blackburn, a prominent news anchor, her husband Rodney Black, who runs a couple of gyms, and their close friends Marley, a successful lawyer, and Tony, a private investigator and former police officer who is also Marley's boyfriend. The easy camaraderie is evident, though there's a subtle tension between Fela and Tony's former partner Kevin, a police officer who also attends the class. Fela makes it clear to Marley she doesn't like Kevin, accusing him of just watching the women and being a creep, while Marley defends him as a good cop. Fela also confides in Marley her anxiety about her marriage, feeling unappreciated by Rodney, who she believes doesn't find her beautiful anymore, contrasting it with the admiration she sees in Marley's relationship with Tony. Marley, who adores Rodney, tries to reassure Fela, suggesting they all meet for breakfast at Mama M's to talk. At breakfast the tension continues. Fela and Rodney are guarded, trying to deflect Marley and Tony's probing questions about the health of their marriage. Marley, trying to ease the pressure, shifts the focus to her and Tony, playfully asking when they will get married. The conversation remains strained, revealing that Rodney and Fela are in some kind of debt and that Fela has lingering trust issues from a previous relationship. Eventually they decide to drop the topic and order. Meanwhile, at the police station a briefing is underway. An officer, likely the precinct commander, displays a map highlighting high crime areas and recent murders, emphasizing the danger of the job and the pressure from Mayor Johnson to reduce crime. He stresses the need for officers to be ready for real life or death situations. After the briefing, Kevin is told he will be the field training officer for a new young white officer named Caleb Kane. Caleb is from a small town station and Kevin advises him to be ready to draw his weapon, emphasizing the rule, cop yells gun you shoot. Caleb expresses a desire to be placed in the high-crime South Side area where he feels he could be of more help, but Kevin keeps them in the quieter North Side, dismissing Caleb's experience with meth labs as minor compared to the city's issues. Fela and her co-anchor Shannon are on the set of their morning show early for us. Fela is exhausted from a long night of nightmares and coffee. The show is interrupted when Dolores, a resident who lives behind Rodney and Fela, calls 911 to report a break-in, describing the man as a black man in a hoodie walking behind her neighbor's house. On patrol, Kevin and Caleb receive the call about a possible burglary in progress on Marson Street. Kevin, seeing the chance for action, quickly heads to the scene. Arriving at the upscale, quiet residential area, Dolores confirms to the officers that the man is still inside. Kevin instructs Caleb to go to the back of the house while he covers the front. As Caleb enters the property, he sees a black man running through the backyard alley in a hoodie. It's Rodney, who had been out for his run. Caleb yells, "Police! Put your hands up!" And in a moment of panic and misidentification shouts, "Gun! Gun!" and shoots. Rodney is fatally wounded. Kevin arrives and secures the scene, realizing the object Rodney was holding was only his cell phone. The news of the shooting hits Fela while she's live on air. A reporter from the Post reports the shooting of an unarmed black man by a rookie Chesterfield police officer, identifying the victim as 40-year-old Rodney Black. Fela is horrified and cuts to commercial. At the hospital, Fela, Marley, and Tony wait for an update. Kevin arrives devastated and apologetic, explaining he was only training the rookie. Fela is inconsolable and lashes out at him, demanding to know who shot her husband. Rodney's condition is grave. Later at Fela's home, Marley and Tony are there to support her. Fela is determined to sue the city and promises to report every detail of the case until she uncovers the truth. Tony, as a former cop and now a private investigator, agrees to help with the investigation. Fela is consumed by grief and rage, frustrated by the news that the department is trying to justify the shooting by claiming Rodney looked suspicious and his cell phone looked like a gun. She doubts the official narrative, pointing out Rodney was just jogging. She insists on filing a motion for the body cam footage immediately. The tension escalates at Rodney's funeral. A news crew, including Fela's co-anchor Shannon, arrives to cover the event. Fela confronts the reporters, accusing them and their station of sensationalizing his death. She screams that her husband was murdered by a white officer and warns that no black man is safe in the city. Her fury is directed at the media for seeking sound bites at a funeral. Kevin, who shows up in plain clothes, is also spotted by Fela and violently driven away by a protective Tony. Kevin tries to explain to Tony that he chose to ride with Caleb because the rookie was a hothead from an all-white town, admitting he feels responsible but maintaining the shooting itself was clean according to procedure. Tony, a former cop, doesn't believe him and urges Kevin to share any rumors about Caleb's past. Marley confronts Tony with the photo of Rodney with Anna Lewis. Tony admits he knew about the affair. He reveals that Anna's estranged husband had hired him as a private investigator to follow her. He caught Rodney coming out of Anna's house and confronted him, but Rodney begged him not to tell Marley or Fela, promising to end the relationship. Tony, trying to keep the peace and protect Marley and Fela from heartbreak, withheld the information. Marley is deeply hurt and questions Tony's honesty, comparing his deception to the lies of her ex-boyfriend. Tony apologizes profusely, saying he didn't want to crush her, and insists Fela still doesn't know. He urges Marley not to release the information immediately, hoping to secure a settlement before the city attorney uses it against them. Marley decides to speak with the Beaumonts, the couple Dolores mentioned. A woman, Mrs. Beaumont, answers, denies calling the police, and denies talking to Dolores, suggesting Dolores is senile. She is more concerned with the geese Dolores feeds than with the shooting. Marley leaves no closer to the truth about the initial call. At Fela's house, Marley finds her friend erratically cleaning and throwing out Rodney's things, consumed by grief and anger. Fela says she wishes she had never met him so she wouldn't feel this pain and he would still be alive. Marley asks her if Rodney was having an affair, admitting she thinks he was. Fela is stunned and hurt, realizing she will now be publicly humiliated. She asks Marley to leave so she can be alone. Later that night, the rookie officer Caleb Kane unexpectedly shows up at Fela's house, hoping to apologize to Marley. Tony catches him and threatens to kill him if he ever returns, sending Caleb away. Tony is furious at Kevin for not keeping Caleb under control and calls him, demanding he handle the situation and keep a closer watch on the rookie. Tony also confronts Marley, demanding to know why Caleb was talking to her. He then gives her an ultimatum, asking if she trusts him, but she refuses to answer and insists on him sleeping downstairs, demanding space. Caleb meets with Kevin, who reminds the rookie that the shooting was justified and that the police union is behind him. Caleb is distraught and confesses that he's hearing the DA will prosecute him. He says his life is ruined and he needs to apologize to Fela. Kevin firmly instructs him not to talk to Fela or Marley again, reiterating that the less he says, the faster the crisis will blow over. The next morning, while Fela sleeps after taking a pill, an alarm sounds. Marley sees an intruder jump out of Fela's bedroom window and flee over the fence. She calls the police. Tony and the police arrive. Tony suggests the intruder was Caleb. The police confirm they had a tail on Caleb but lost him that morning. Fela is shaken, but nothing was taken, which the police find suspicious. Fela, overwhelmed, tells everyone to leave. Kevin arrives and tells Tony he'll watch the house from across the street. Tony warns Kevin that Caleb showing up at Fela's house is strike two. The news breaks about Rodney's affair with Anna Lewis, confirming Marley's fears. Simultaneously, Sam reveals he has found Caleb's military records, which show he was discharged after a violent racist altercation with a black soldier who was hospitalized. The former soldier is willing to testify, which would severely damage the city's case and highlight lax hiring practices. Marley uses this explosive information in her settlement meeting with Ina, the city attorney. Ina attempts to negotiate a settlement by asking Fela to issue a public statement calling for an end to the riots. Marley rejects the offer, pointing out that Ina knew about Caleb's racist military history all along and was trying to sweep it under the rug. Marley threatens to expose the city's corrupt hiring practices and Ina's own political scandals, including her alleged railroad of Tony when he was a cop. Cornered, the city settles. 3 months later, the city announces a settlement of north of $3 million for Rodney's family. Fela gives a public address thanking the mayor and asking for an end to the violence. The DA announces an arrest warrant for Caleb Kane, who is now a fugitive. Marley is still strained with Tony. He is eager to be forgiven, but she is hesitant. While they speak outside, Shannon and Sam approach Marley, revealing that Fela had recently moved and didn't tell them, further isolating herself. The trio is intercepted by Kevin, who now owns the house, having used his settlement money to buy it. Kevin, clearly trying to appear normal, invites them inside. While Kevin pours wine, Marley quickly slips away to the bathroom, finding the taped phone in the drawer. The recording reveals a shocking conversation between Kevin and Tony, confirming their partnership. Tony had helped Kevin get a large settlement from the police department in a previous case, and they were celebrating how Marley's current case would net them more money. Tony, speaking with the hidden camera on his lapel, also makes disturbing possessive remarks about Marley. Marley attempts to leave, but Tony, realizing she knows the truth, locks her in the bathroom. He and Kevin reveal the full plot. Fela was also in on it. Fela hated Rodney for his infidelity and embarrassment, and using the politically charged narrative of a white cop killing an unarmed black man was the perfect way to get rid of him and secure a large settlement, a plan orchestrated with Tony and Kevin. Tony and Kevin, bitter about Rodney taking Anna, had a shared motive. The two men subdue Marley, rendering her unconscious, and put her on Kevin's boat. Fela joins them, mocking Rodney's death and reveling in the scheme. They plan to dump Marley in the lake, weighted down with an anchor. However, a rent-a-cop patrolman interrupts them, requiring Kevin to show registration. The delay allows Marley to regain consciousness. A struggle ensues and Fela accidentally pushes Kevin overboard. Fela then tries to push Tony, but he uses the anchor to weigh down Fela's foot, trapping her. Marley manages to get free and throws the heavy object, the anchor, at Tony, knocking him out. The patrolman returns to the scene of the commotion and sees the struggle. In the aftermath, Fela, Tony, and Kevin are arrested. Marley's quick thinking and discovery of the phone secured Caleb Kane's exoneration and the truth about the murder plot. Marley later appears on television stating that the whole ordeal has damaged her trust. She reflects that while the conspirators used the racial and political tensions to execute their wicked plot, real injustice is still out there. She implores the public to remain objective and focus on the fundamental issues of race relations and accountability in law enforcement, rather than letting this isolated sensational case discredit every valid claim of injustice. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.